Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Last Minute Laura. In this episode, I'm going to make a triangle shawl, and today I'm using Briggs and Little sport weight wool, and the colors that I'm using are gray heather, and also, here's the gray heather, and also the brown heather. Oh, so pretty. So the sport weight wool has a whole bunch of colors throughout it. The gray heather is a little bit like seafoam teal greeny, and the brown heather has some reds and some other colors in there too. So before I can get started, I thought I would just show you how I pull apart a skein of yarn. So I don't have a winder or anything to turn it into a ball. I usually just use the bottom half of my chair to roll it in. So I thought that would be a fun way to start it off. So let's get started. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking today. I keep seeing all of these beautiful shawls that everybody has, these triangle shawls, and I want one. So I want to make one, but I don't want to follow a pattern because I'm not really like in that headspace right now. So I figure if I draw out what I'm thinking and then just sort of record it, then maybe it'll be all good, you know? So what I'm thinking is a lot of them that I've seen have had like a space down the middle. So let me zoom you in so you can actually see what's going on in here. So if I'm looking for like a triangle, they all seem to have like a space in the middle. So I'm guessing that that's like a granny square chain 2 with 2 double crochets in the previous chain 2. That's what I'm thinking, and that's what's going to end up making it. I think that it's going to end up more of like that shape, like it's going to get kind of sharp as a curve in the middle. So what I'm going to do to make it, you know what I'm thinking? I could just make one really long chain, right? And then when I'm coming back around with my double crochets, like imagine like I did a chain this way, right? And then, so the chain goes that way, we've got our chain. When I'm coming back down with my double crochets, when I hit the middle stitch, I can just double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, right? And then double crochet along the edge, and that's just gonna force a curve into it, like a raglan sweater. And then what I can do is I can do like a row of double crochet one way, a row of double crochet the other, and then after that, like bring it up so that it's like every 2 rows I reduce the amount of stitches. Does that make sense? What I notice though more often than not is that they're made like that. Like it looks like they do like chain 4 and then they do double crochet 2, chain 2, double crochet 2. So let me try both so I can see if that'll work. I'm gonna be using the Briggs and Little sport weight 1-ply wool yarn, and I'm using, what are my colors? Gray heather and brown heather. I'm just gonna give a shot to the way I think that I would do this. Okay, I think I've figured it out. So we're gonna begin super easy with this one. Okay. The plan right now, my plan, is to chain 2, then insert your hook back into the first chain and pull up a loop and pull through both. Now you have 1 stitch. So that end is going to end up getting tied tighter and then tucked in. So the next thing I'm going to do is chain 2, turn it around, and then what we're going to do next is we're going to double crochet into that stitch, the only stitch, and then we're going to double crochet again so that there will be 2 double crochets you've done and 1 chain 2. And then we're going to chain 2, chain 1, chain 2, and then working in the same stitch again, we're going to put 2 more double crochets, and we're going to put a 3rd one in just so it matches with the other side. That chain 2 acts as a double crochet. So now you can see, because we did it like that, it's gonna be a lot more straight. Okay, so the next step is to chain 2, 1, 2, turn it around. Basically, it's gonna be the same pattern repeated through every single row now. That first row was just chain 2 and then 2 double crochets, chain 2 and then 3 double crochets, because that first chain 2 made up a double crochet. Now we chained 2 again and turned, and then I'm gonna put 2 double crochets into that first stitch, and that's gonna force the shawl to stay straight, to grow flat and straight. Then I'm just gonna do, okay, sorry, battery died. In the first stitch, you'll have your chain 2, and then you'll have 2 double crochets in that first stitch, then 1 regular double crochet in the following stitch, 1 regular double crochet in the following stitch, and now you're at the big gap from the chain 2. So we're gonna put 2 double crochets in there, into that gap, and then chain 2, and that's gonna create our next gap for the next row to go into. And then 2 double crochets again, all still in that same hole. So there's gonna be 4 double crochets and a chain 2 in that hole, and then a double crochet in that first stitch after the hole, and then another double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet, and then I'm gonna do into the space left by the chain 2, I'm gonna put 3 double crochets, the 1, 2, 3, just to match it up with the other side, because we don't have the chain 2 affecting this one, so we have to add an additional double crochet to straighten out the other side. Okay, let's see what we got now. So you can see now, because we did that, it's like straight, not super like pointy yet, but that'll set us up for success later. So now what we're gonna do is chain 2 again, turn it around, and then double crochet just once in that first stitch. No, we should keep it at 2 times. Or maybe just once. No, let's just do once, and then on the other side we'll do 2 times to even out for that chain 2 at the beginning of the row. Okay, so I'm just doing 1 double crochet in each stitch until I come to that middle gap space. 1 more here. Cool, and now I'm gonna do 2 double crochets into the hole, and then I'm gonna chain 2, 1 and 2, then I'm gonna insert again and do 2 more double crochets into that same space. Oops. And then I'm just gonna continue with double crochets down the rest of that second side, I should say. Okay. And then I'm gonna have 1 more that last stitch. And then just to even this one out with the other side, I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the chain 2 space, then I'm going to chain 2 and turn around. I mean, the edges seem pretty flat. It seems pretty triangular. I don't think the angle's too steep. Once we like make it way bigger, that'll be nice, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna keep going with this exact same way, I guess. I'm just gonna put an extra double, half double on that first stitch, double crochet all the way down, and then I'm gonna do the 2 double crochets, chain 2 and 2 double crochets in the gap space, and I'm just gonna build that up for a little while and see what happens. So far so good. I hope it doesn't turn out ugly, because I like would prefer if it was beautiful. Okay, there we go. 2 double crochets. And then a chain 2, and then 2 more double crochets. I'm wondering if I should change to like single crochets or maybe like half double crochets. Maybe I will do that. That might add a little pizzazz, don't you think? There we go. And then we're back at the end, so I'm doing 1 extra double crochet. You know what? I don't hate it. I think that's pretty cute. Once we sort of get some more size on it, then I'll do a little ridge around the sides maybe with something cute. Just grab onto that now and pull it in. Okay, well, I mean, it's cute. Maybe it's a little granny squarey, but I like it. So I'm going to chain 2 again, but now I'm going to switch over to half double crochets for 1 round, just to see what that's going to do. I feel like the point of me doing this on camera is not really to teach you to do it, but to show you that crochet is not scary, and even if you don't really know what you're doing, you can probably figure out how to do most of the stuff you can see online. Obviously, like, there is skill to like fancier stuff, but if it is somehow a square, you can probably figure it out. This might actually be a really pretty little scarf. Ideally, this will be a gift from my mother or my sister. I thought, because my sister works in like a businessy environment, so I thought that it would be a nice wool scarf to make her all fancy in the wintertime, if it's a triangle. So far, I really, really like it. I think this is a great option. I love this yarn. Super scratchy while you're working with it, which is really nice because it holds together really well. It feels good to work with, kind of like how cotton feels nice to work with just because it's like rough, and then after you wash it, it gets super, super soft. So this is a very convenient thing. Maybe I'll do 2 half double crochet rows, 1 double crochet, just to keep it kind of thick. Like, I want it to be Super cuddly. And I know it's gonna shrink and puff up quite a bit once it's washed and blocked. So it should, all the gappiness and scraggliness should sort of go away. So that, I think, will make the half double crochet area really, really dense, and then the double crochet I think will be still really good. I'm kind of working this with the mentality of like a granny square, but I'm only doing half. So that's why I'm putting that extra half double crochet or double crochet or whatever at the other end of each row. I'm just trying to keep it triangular, and that is my goal now. I mean, I guess I could have just followed a pattern, but I don't know how people feel about having their patterns like followed on a video, but that's like what I do is I make videos, so I feel like I have to be always making my own pattern if I want to do it on camera, but I also, obviously, if I do a pattern, I'm going to be influenced by it, you know? Like, the first sweater I ever did as a pattern has pretty much, I've never changed my sleeves ever, because they worked. So the minimal changes I make are just to make it work better for me, so I know that that would make it not my pattern at this point, so I just kind of want to make one on my own, see how it goes, and then if it goes well, maybe I'll write it down, and if it doesn't go well, then you will have watched this video for no reason, and I will have an ugly scarf to show for it, I guess. But maybe, just maybe, it'll all turn out great. Okay, so we've got 2 rows now of half double crochet, and I'm going to switch back to double crochet. I'm trying to decide like when I should change colors, or maybe I should just make an entirely greenish gray scarf. Let's just do that. It says it's called gray heather, but it's like very much almost the same as the sage color I used for my previous sweater tutorial. Not tutorial, sweater video. Let's call it what it is. Okay. Okay, for the next little bit, I'm just going to zoom through a few rows where I think I'm gonna do 2 rows of half double crochet, and then maybe 3 rows? How many did I do? Yeah, I'll do 2 rows of half double crochet, 3 rows of, sorry, I'm trying to count stitches. 3 rows of double crochet, 2 rows of half double crochet. I think I'll do that. So 3, 2, 3, 2, and that should make a nice little pattern. Maybe the next time I make this, I'll add some fun creative stitches in, but I think for this one, it'll be better for me to just make it super basic for the first one. For the next one, I might go a little crazy though, so. Let me know if there would be a scarf or something that you'd like me to make, because I'll try anything. I'll try to make anything. If it works out, then I'll write the pattern down and you can have a cool pattern for a thing that you want to see. But if it turns out terrible, then you get a video of me trying my best to make a thing. But definitely leave a comment. Apparently it's part of the algorithm that if there's more likes and more comments, there's more traffic that drives to your video. So I would appreciate a comment or a like, because apparently it will help me grow on this platform. If you do not feel so inclined, then no worry, but anyway, I'll just zoom through doing this, and then from there we can, maybe I'll do a few more rows before I pause for a little chit chat again to see what the next steps will be. Okay, so it's been quite a few rows that I've done now. I honestly don't know, but I've been doing the same pattern of 2 half double crochet rows and then 3 double crochet, 2 half double, 3 double. And it's getting pretty good in size, but I'm starting to be a little bit unhappy with how square it is. I can't get the whole thing into the shot right now, so I'm gonna turn it so you could see what it's like. That's half of it. But like, I want it to be more like shallow of a triangle. Does that make sense? Like, it's gonna keep going out this way, but I want it to kind of taper in. So what I'm thinking I'll do is I'll just increase at the end of each, maybe every other row I'll do an increase row, and that'll bring me up more, right? That'll give me more length. I don't know. All right, I'm just gonna keep going, I guess. I don't really know what I should do, so I'm gonna just keep going as I am, and then we'll see how it turns out when I block it. I'm gonna do one full skein of whatever. I'm gonna do one full skein of the gray heather to see how big it gets, and then if I think it's big enough that way, then what I'm gonna do is just leave it as the gray heather, and if I think that it could go a little bigger, then I might do some decorative stitches with the brown heather. I wanted to use both, but I really liked how this looked all one. Maybe I'll do the edging stitches in the brown heather. We will see. There we go. Okay, so now I'm on a double crochet row. So I did 3 double crochet and then 2 half double. Now I'm on my 3 double crochets. I'm going to double crochet all the way to my little corner stitch, and then when I get to my corner stitch, I'll put 2 double crochets into the stitch and then chain 2 and then 2 double crochets in, and then I'll double crochet all the way down, and then I'll do the same thing. So pretty much at the corners I'm doing those 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets, or 2 half double, 2 chain, 2 half double. That's just what's making that turn kind of happen. It's pretty cool. Maybe if I had put like more stitches there, then it would have grown out this way more. I don't know. We're gonna try and see how this is gonna grow out. But I'm a little bit unhappy with that it's like tilting this way. I don't know if I'll be able to like block it to straighten it, because I want it straight and wide, but it's kind of trying to become diamond shaped. So we're gonna see if that's gonna fix when I block it, and if it does, then I will say that this was successful, and if it doesn't, then we'll see what we can do about it. But I'm just gonna do a full skein in that gray heather to see how long it gets. Okay, so I think that it's getting pretty good size to it. It's definitely gonna stretch out because these edges are tilting down, but when I check the stitches, they shouldn't be. So it'll stretch out when it's time. But basically at this point, it's kind of looking like a pretty good size. Not finished. I am pretty sure I'm gonna have to go in with a second skein of something else, skein, whatever. But with one, it's enough that you could wear this as like a shawl. Like this part would be where your arms are. Like it wouldn't be a huge shawl. And my goal is to make it a much bigger shawl. I want something big and a little bit cozy to use as a gift for someone for Christmas. So I'm going to finish this last row. This is all that I have left of the gray heather. And I think I'm going to go into brown heather, but I'm going to show some of the other colors that I have a little bit left of to see if they actually look nice with the gray heather, and maybe we'll go with something a little bit more colorful. So I think I'm going to keep this shawl consistent and do the entire thing in half double and double. I wasn't sure if I would switch to something else along the outside edge, but right now I'm kind of thinking that the half double double is pretty together. Like, it looks really nice, and I think it works really well. So I think I might just keep it like that. Don't like quote me though, because, well, I guess I'm quoting myself by posting it online if I end up posting it. But yeah, if I end up deciding to add something a little fancy to the edges, don't freak out at me. Okay, so I'm gonna just hold on to that little ball that's left. It's barely any, but I'm gonna hold it just in case I need to try and finish anything up. I guess I should have left it with a little bit of a bigger ball, maybe one row less, but I wasn't feeling that. I felt like I wanted to keep going. So I did. All right, all right, all right. There we go. So there's the end of that row, so I can just break my yarn. Ugh, really? There. So I've just got a little bit left that I can use for sewing if I have any sewing pieces to do on this shawl once it's finished. But right now, let me actually get a measuring tape and see if we can check online maybe what other people are doing. Okay, where are my measuring tapes? I feel like oh yeah, here they are. Okay, so I'm just gonna go and search on Google. How long should a shawl be? A triangle shawl be. I think that should help. Okay, a typical triangular scarf is 50 inches across with sides of 30 inches. But that's for a scarf, not for like a shawl. Okay, let's just see how long we've got beforehand. So it says the inches should be, the edges, these edges should be 30 inches. And I don't think that we're there yet, to be honest. Okay, here's 30 inches. Oh, you know what? Would you look at that? We're just short of 30 inches. So the tip is right there. Maybe not even. After it's blocked, it might actually be 30 inches already. So that part looks promising. And then the long edge, I'm just gonna go across to see how wide it is right now. Okay, so it's a little bit short in terms of length. It's only 45 this way, and then it's already almost 30. It's 29 this way. Oh, excuse me, it's 29 across here, and then across that way it's 45. So I am going to have to add more because it's not quite long enough for me, or wide enough. I want it to be like across your shoulders and wrapped around like a big cozy shawl. That's my plan here. So what I'm thinking I need to do now is anyway, okay, so let's pick a color. Let me see my color options. Let me just grab the brown heather, and then I also have fawn. So I have fawn, gold, fern, rose, and brown heather. I know when you look at it like this, they all look good with it, let's be honest, right? Okay, let me see if we can focus in here for a sec. Okay, so the green is looking a little bit overblown in my colors because it's trying to adjust for the darkness of this bluish green hue. It's so not gray. Oops, I lost my brown heather. Like, those are all super cute with this, but I don't think that one will go around very many times. The gold is nice. Maybe I'll do the gold and the brown heather. What about fawn? No, fawn's not super cute for this. Okay, so I made my mind up, I think. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do a couple of rows in the gold now. maybe like a little bar like that big, and then I'll switch over to the brown heather and do a nice edging stitch in the brown heather. So I think that will be a good way to keep this, you know, not too dark, because it's for my mama. I think it's for my mama. I'm making it for my mom. I don't know if she'll be the one who ends up getting it, but all right, so back to it. I'm still just doing 2 rows of half double crochet, 3 rows of double crochet. I'm still doing that same pattern, and I'm still 1, 2, chaining 2 at each end, and at the corner I'm still doing the same 2 double crochets or 2 half double crochets, and then the chain 2 and then 2 more in that same corner stitch. And if you've just jumped in here and you're like, what is she talking about, go back a little bit. You must have missed that instructional part where the pattern is actually explained. I'll put a little title card here to where I actually like go through that portion of this tutorial. Okie dokie. So I'm just gonna keep going, and I'm gonna turn the mic off so that I can watch movies while I do this crochet. And I'm also gonna zoom you back out so that you can see how cool this looks from up top. There. Alright, so it's been a little bit because I was working on something else. And so I am going to keep working on this scarf shawl thing, but I think it's almost time that I get it, get ready to do an edge. It's almost big enough, I think. So I think after this, this half double crochet, I'll do one more line of that gold. Oh, also, I have a new tea because it's a new time of day. This one's apple and cinnamon chamomile tea, and I added some local honey. Hey, CJ! CJ! Hey! So it looks like total this shawl is like 2 full skeins of yarn, and CJ, come on, I'm recording. Just go lie down. Anyway, 2 skeins of the sport weight yarn, which one's the sport? Where are you? There we are. Okay, so 110 grams. Okay, so it says it's 430 yards in sport weight, so I used 2 of them, and also I'm going to have used about, I'm going to say 1/5 of an additional skein. I haven't weighed it yet, so I'm gonna weigh it. Anyway, I'll weigh it at the end to figure out how much it requires, because it says how many grams it is and how long it is, so I can just figure out it that way, so that you can know how much you would need if you wanted to make a triangle scarf for yourself. Cool thing about these ones though is that you can just keep going until it's as big as you want, because you start from the middle. So it's not like you have to have a predetermined size when you begin. As you may have learned by watching this video. I didn't even know what I was doing at the beginning. I knew I wanted to use the gray heather. Everything else just sort of fell into it. I'm hoping it doesn't shrink too much, because I really like the sizing of it, but I'm just gonna not put it in the dryer. That's the plan. I know you're not supposed to put wool in the dryer anyway, but obviously I've made that mistake before. Oh, that looks really pretty. These colors look so nice together, super autumny. I just want to incorporate the gold one more time. Maybe I shouldn't though, maybe it's a nice key thing. I don't know. I think I probably will end up doing the gold. That way it's like a striped thing rather than a blocked thing. Although I've been really into blocking colors, like big fat blocks rather than stripes lately. I'm gonna spread it all out on the floor and see what I feel after I finish this row, and then I will continue, but depending on what I decide at that point. I tested it with the fawn too, to check if the fawn color would look nice, but these colors are all really dark, so I don't think the fawn would work. It's too light. So I know because of this video, which has happened over several days, it may appear that I have a lot of tea. It may not. I don't know how it's been cut yet. So I do drink a lot of tea, but I will also say, as I think a lot of people who crochet, knit, embroider, do any kind of handicraft work type things, you make 30 cups of tea. You only drink one. So I take a couple of sips and then it ends up getting cold because I was working on something and got really into it. But what I've been doing this past week, in the morning, I always have the same type of tea, and I've been reheating it instead of making a fresh one every single time, just to see how many teas I actually go through. And it's one. I have one tea that will last me all day if I just keep reheating it. But I really do make like probably 6 or 7 cups of tea throughout the day, just so I always have like a hot tea with me, but I only drink about one. So this is my second real cup of tea today. Alrighty, I'm almost down to that other side. It's really, this shawl is actually becoming really beautiful. At first I was kind of doing it because everybody's doing it, and now I'm thinking like maybe I could be a shawl person. If it's beautiful wool and it's warm and soft, why not, you know? Alright, so I think what I've decided is that I'm going to use what's left of my rows in the sport weight that I have left from a previous project, which is just a little bit. I think it'll be enough to go back and forth a few times anyway. So what I'm going to do is finish this row of half double crochet and this next row of half double crochet, and then the following 3 triple crochets I'm gonna do in the pink, and then following the pink I'm gonna do the brown again, just to do the lace edge. And I think that is gonna do it for this shawl. So I'm gonna do gold for these, and I think that'll look nice together. I was torn between the green, and the green might have been nice too, but I think that this one has kind of like a good vibe with the pink. So we're gonna go with that. Alright guys, so I am almost done, and I'm trying to add a couple of extra angles into this video because I'm realizing it's not a super dynamic tutorial. It's pretty much just a repetition of 5 rows. So if any of you are people who watch these videos or who like these videos, if you could let me know in the comments if you like the changing of shots or if you prefer just the overhead for these, or if you only want the overheads, if it's like a technical tutorial and then otherwise you would prefer like more movement in the camera. Because it's not like a big deal. I have to take breaks every like 15 minutes to walk around and like do stuff, you know, like laundry and dishes and stuff. So I take breaks, maybe not every 50 minutes, maybe every 45 minutes I have to take a break anyway, like to move. So if every time I move anyway, I can just move the camera. But if it doesn't matter to you guys, it's easier for me to just leave it as an overhead shot. But if you prefer to see it, like if you like this angle, I had to move the camera. So I'm just feeling like I want to know what the best thing is. And I like all of the angles because I like filming, so like I feel connected to it anyway. But if there's an angle that you didn't like in this video, comment. If there's an angle that you really liked that you haven't seen in the other videos I've been using, let me know, because I'm trying to improve. So I'm on my, I think, second last row. I'm in the brown heather now. I'm following the same pattern still, so I was doing 3 rows of double crochet and then 2 rows of half double, 3 rows of double, 2 rows of half double, 3 rows of double. So I'm on my first row of the half double, and the scarf shawl thing is definitely big enough to use as a shawl now. The only thing I'm not sure about yet is if I want to put an edging stitch on it, but I kind of have to decide because it's almost 9 o'clock and I said to myself, I really want to get this photographed tomorrow because we're driving up to my parents' farm and it's really beautiful and these colors will all be there. The only downside is this still needs to be washed and blocked, not washed, soaked and blocked. And I don't want to photograph it without doing that, but I really want to get enough time for it to dry on my blocking mats. So I know that's gonna take like probably almost a full day. So I wanted to get this done first thing in the morning today. So I was up at 7 working on it to try and get as many rows done. And now it's almost done, and I don't know if I want to do an edge stitch or not because I don't know if the time is worth it. I don't know if the look will be worth it. So I'm gonna decide that once I finish my second half double crochet. I'm also trying to decide if I should put any like edging around here. I don't have any more of this blue, gray, green color, so I don't know. I think I'll ask on my Instagram stories. You know what? Why don't we do that now? That'll be fun. Make a little thing to add into the video. Okay, so I asked on Instagram, what do you think, edging around the border or no edging? And I asked if everybody thinks that it should be triangles, like little points, or if it should be like a rounded scallop. And I've got a little bit of time, so while I am working on the last 2 rows, I will wait and we'll see what everybody says. And I'm kind of leaning now towards the picot stitch thing around the edge, like the little triangles. If you don't know what that is, P-I-C-O-T is how it is spelled, and you could look it up on Pinterest, but you could also just keep watching because if I end up doing that, I'm gonna be filming it. All right, so it's been a couple of days again because I sometimes take a couple of days between things. So the last we left off, I was trying to figure out what we were going to do for this border. So now I'm going to take my phone out and I'm going to go into those photos that I took of my, where are you? The answers everybody left. So we've got 73% of people said that I needed a border on it, and 27 said no, don't bother. And then I got 78% of people saying they wanted the triangles as the border, and 22% said scallops for the edges. And then when I said, how about between picot and triangles, people chose triangles by 78%. So I'll put those photos on the screen just so you can see them a little bit more clearly. But it's pretty much been decided that we're gonna go with triangles. So I've got 125 stitches on one side and 125 stitches on the other side. So what I'm gonna just do is 125 divided by 5 stitches per doodad. We've got 25. So I'm thinking we're gonna end up with 25 triangles along each side. I'm not 100% sure, I think. I feel like a little confident, not like super confident. But it shouldn't be anything too. Are we on a half double? Yeah. Anything too hard, I don't think. So how I'm thinking we're gonna do it, if we've got 25, we're gonna make a chain 2, and then I'm gonna skip 1, 2, and I'm gonna work in that third one. And in that third one, I'm gonna work a single crochet, a half double crochet, a double crochet, and then a half double crochet. I guess it would need to have 6 stitches in it, wouldn't it? Because we want it to have like a point. Or would I just have to do a picot? Okay, so I'm gonna do single, half double, double, and then on the double I'm gonna do chain 1, chain 2, and then slip stitch into that first one, which is like a little picot stitch. Come on, get back in there. And that'll be a slip stitch. And then I'm gonna half double, oops, into the same stitch. And then I'm gonna single crochet into the same stitch. And then you could see we've got that little triangle. I just don't know if that looks off. I'm gonna do one more first. Okay, and then so that's one, and then on this next one we'll just slip stitch into it to secure that stitch, and then chain 1, and then skip 1, and then single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, and then chain 1, chain 2, put it back into that first one with the slip stitch, oops, to create that picot, and then we'll do a half double, oops, come on, there we go, and a single, slip stitch into the next one, chain 1, skip 1, single, let's see if that makes a triangle first, half double. This is just what I'm thinking would make a triangle. I didn't look up a recipe, or a pattern, excuse me, a recipe. Okay, and then we go back in there with the slip stitch, and then half double, and then single, and then slip stitch. All right, let's see, is that good and triangular? Oh, that's pretty cute. Kind of like a little scales on the end. And if I can pull those picots up when I block it, that could be pretty cute, I think. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going in this way to make this triangle pattern, which may already be a thing people know about. You know what I'm gonna do to make it extra? I'm gonna switch to a smaller hook. So I think that'll just tighten those stitches down a little bit. But the pattern I'm going to be going with is a, okay, so I figured it out. It took me a couple of tries, but I figured out a triangle system that looks really good and uses the right number of stitches to make the triangles look super cute. So we've got pretty much, I did 2 slip stitches at the beginning, just to give me that edge, and then I did a single, a half double, a double, then chain 3, go back into the top of that double, slip stitch, half double, single, slip stitch, 4 stitches. So I'm going to show you in practice what all of that means. There's like, I will probably have to do a separate tutorial on this because I just learned it, but basically what I'm doing is single crochet, and then a half double crochet, and then a double crochet. And so you can tell that's going to make the one side of the triangle. And now to make the top of the triangle, I chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then where the last stitch of that double crochet came out, I go back in almost to recreate the beginning of the end of that last half double, and I slip stitch in. So those 3 chains are now just kind of like a little nubbin on the back, and then I go back in with a half double crochet, whoops, and then a single crochet, and then I slip stitch into the next stitch, and into the next stitch, and into the next stitch, and into the next stitch. So there's 4 slip stitches before and after the triangles, but the single crochet half double double brings the one side. That chain 3 that you slip stitch back into the double crochet creates the top of the triangle, and then the half double and single crochet complete the other end of that triangle. So it's kind of like a triangle with like a rounded ball at the end. I thought that would make it a little bit jazzier. If I wanted it to be just a tip, it would be a chain 2 instead of a chain 3. The chain 3 kind of rounds out that area. It makes a little bit of a hole. And you could go back and do a whole other row where you go into these stitches and just sort of mellow out that curve, but I kind of like it pointy like that. So I'm just going to keep moving and see where we get. All right, so I'm almost finished. I did this off camera because A, was just learning how to do it, and B, I think I'll do a video on it because it was really kind of fun. But I'm just going through the last couple of triangles, still doing the exact same thing. I didn't change anything from the last instruction, so it's still been single crochet, half double crochet, and then I do a little picot on the end, and then I do another half double crochet and then another single crochet, and then I slip stitch in the next 4, 3. Okay, so that's where I'm gonna wrap it. I think that's a good place to end the scarf. So I'm gonna just rip my yarn, pull it tight, and then I'm gonna take a yarn needle and weave in the ends, and now I'm gonna go put this through a soak cycle on my machine, my washing machine, with a little bit of wool wash in it, and then I'm gonna block it. And I might actually film the blocking just because I got new knit blockers, or not new knit blockers, I got knit blockers for the first time. I got a new tool to block my project. So I'm super pumped for that. I'm just gonna put it through the wash on that cycle, and then I will come back and show you how I'm going to finish it up. There we go. The knit blockers I got are going to allow me to pull these and get them nice and tight and flat too, which is gonna be super cool. So I'm just gonna go do that, and then I'll show you how I'm gonna finish. Okay, so don't mind the shadow, but I've gotten the shawl blocked out. So I've used my knit blockers in some spots, and I've used the tiny T pins in some spots. So here is the final size of it. I'm just gonna leave it out. Probably it'll only take a couple of hours, and I've pinned each one of the, hold on a sec. I've pinned each one of the triangles so that they will stay nice and pointy, and they're all nicely spaced, and I tried to keep a pretty even line, so those should turn out really well. And for the most part, I'm pretty happy with like the straightness of my blocking. I think maybe right here I could add a few more pins. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it out to dry, and when it's dry, I will show you the final product. Okie dokie, here it is, the shawl, the scarf It looks so awesome. I really am honestly so in love with it. I tried to do a couple different photo shoots so you could see the ways that I style it. Obviously, I wear a little bit more of an eclectic style. But even as a shawl, not as a scarf, it's totally beautiful. And surprise, it's also super cute as a unisex scarf for Alex. So he loved it too. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like, thumbs up, comment, all that stuff, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys!